Hi, my name's Keith Cooper from Northlight Images, and in this short video I'm looking at a couple of things. One of them is a new light panel from Neewer, this NL-116AI. It's an LED light panel, but it's a dual color one. Now I'm have a look at that in terms of using it for product photography. In particular, I'm going to have a look at how you get the color right, because one of the problems with almost any sorts of lighting is that when you take pictures with a camera, sometimes the lighting introduces color changes. Now, if you're photographing small products for an Etsy shop or something like that, then it can cause problems. Fortunately, there's a very simple fix for it. If you take your files as raw files with your camera and you process them, there are things called DNG profiles, and I'll just very quickly run through what these profiles do, how you create them. It's very easy with some free software, and why this is an integral part of when I do teaching covering product photography for companies. This is one of the key things I cover. But anyway, the light panel itself, it's this one here. Now I've set this, it's got a display on the back. It's set, this is down at 17%. If I turn the brightness up, it will probably burn out on the video quite nicely. But anyway, it's set at 17% where I've just been using it here. It has a color adjustment. Now the color temperature is how warm, how cool the light is. It goes, I've set it for 4300 because that's the color I use for lighting here when I'm making these videos, but I can turn it right up to 5600, which is daylight, which is quite a cool light, and I can turn it right down to 3200, which is a warm sort of tungsten light. Now, because it's adjustable, it means that the color changes of things. Now, one of the nice bits about being adjustable, and I say it's a nice even light from the panel. Let's put it back to its proper temperature for here, which is 4300. This incidentally is a grey card. You can do the adjustments just with a good grey card by white balancing, but there are some aspects of colour that are improved by using profiles as well. So I'll just put this back here. It comes with a little stand. It will overbalance if you tip it over. It has a cold shoe adapter on the top, so you can actually use it for putting on top of cameras for video and stuff like that. But it's not something I tend to do. Let's put the brightness down a little bit more there. Anyway, that is nice. Even source, it's lighting this. How do I deal with color? Well, when I take some pictures of this, I'm going to do them as raw files because it gives me more latitude in processing. In particular, it handles peaks of brightness better and shadow. You get better results from it if you use your camera's raw files. Now, the example using here, this is a Canon R5, 45 megapixel full frame. The lens on it is a macro lens. Now this is a tilt shift macro lens I looked at a while ago, and TT Artisan actually, and it's a manual lens, and I'm just purely using it for an example here because it's actually quite a nice lens and it's very convenient to use for testing. But anyway, there's the lens I'm just using for the pictures. Now, before I take the pictures, I've created some other pictures and I've saved them, these raw files. I run them through the free Adobe DNG converter, which converts raw files to DNGs. You need DNG, digital negatives, I believe it stands for. You need that format of image to run through the software. Now, the software is some X-Rite ColorChecker software, ColorChecker camera calibrator software. I've got several articles I've written over the years because I was involved in the original testing of this quite a few years ago. And so it's free software. And what you do is you need a ColorChecker target like this. This is a ColorChecker passport. Incidentally, you do get grey panels in this one as well. And you take a photograph of the main target itself. So you just take a picture. That's squeak that. So you take that picture, convert it to DNG, just needs to be. So what you can do, whether I'm using Canon, but if you're using Nikon, Sony, anything like that, if I was using my GFX, I can use that. Take the picture, I take the file, I convert it from whatever raw format it is into a DNG, drop the two files, and I've done that one at each of the extremes of color temperature. So one at the warm color temperature, one at the cool color temperature for the panel here. Drop them onto this. Away it goes, it creates a profile. Those profiles are available inside Adobe Camera Raw. Now I'm using Camera Raw. I believe this works in Lightroom, but I've never liked Lightroom, so I don't use it at all for anything. But this has made the profile, it's created it. I've got written articles, which I put links to in the notes, which cover the details of this if you're unsure about it. As I say, software's free, so nothing to be lost in experimenting. I've opened the image here in Adobe Camera Raw. Now I've selected the profile that I want. You do have to just drop down into the list of adjustments of profiles to find your profiles. They'll be there if you browse the selection in it. The interface of this changes over the years, but they're there and they work. And the nice thing is that you can just apply them and you can see the results. Now, because of the difficulties of video and screens and things here, all I'm going to do is just cut in the uncorrected one. This is just using the camera white balance, and I've white balanced the image to the grey card here on the ColorChecker. I could white balance it on this grey card here, but remember I've got lots of brightly coloured objects. Now this is my set of brightly coloured objects that I always take with me. They have got bright fluorescent colours in them, and these really show the difference. So as I say, I cut in the basic version of the image as processed, and then the version processed with the profile. Now you can instantly see that the colors are so much more intense. They're also slightly more accurate, although when we're talking about lighting like this, this is not the sort of stuff you'd use for studio, accurate color reproduction. You'd probably go for higher end lighting than this. But this is an LED panel. The lighting I'm using over here is LEDs, and the lamps I've got at the top here are 4K ordinary domestic light bulbs. So it's a mix of things here. If you value correct color, and it's very important if you're doing product photos for your shop, then you want to do this. Now, you only need to do this once for the camera. And all the other settings and things that you might change, they work. So once you've made that profile for that camera with that light source, then you're fine. Now, one other little fine point on it, I mentioned I took two photos here and used the two settings here at the warm and the cool setting and fed them through the software. That produces what's called a dual illuminant profile. Now that's one that covers the full range of lighting from this. If you've got just a simple light panel that doesn't adjust its color or anything, then a single illuminant light DNG profile will work. But I've covered all of that in the review, and let's say I've worked with stuff like this for quite a few years, in fact far longer than I've been making videos, so I'm afraid you'll have to read some of my written articles to see more details about what's going on, but I've got lots of stuff on this. But one other little benefit of this, being able to adjust the light source, let's say you've got a product and you're just using natural daylight. You've got something on a windowsill that you're just taking a photograph of. You've got light coming in, gives very nice light, nice flat light quite often, but your shadows are a bit dark. Now you could turn on the lights inside and point it out, but you suddenly find out that your lights are different to what comes from outside. That's when you would perhaps put something like this on, and then you can decide, you can have the brightness to fill the shadows as much as you like, and then you can decide, well actually it's a warmer light, so I can make that warmer or I can make it cooler. And that's a useful thing. This is USB, it's got a battery in it, so it's USB charged, and well, useful little thing. And Input 5. Oh, and it also has, as many things do, and I hadn't noticed this till just now, it has two USB sockets on it. So obviously one's for charging it, but it also has a USB socket for using it for driving something else. So if you wanted to, attach something else to it, you could use that. Don't know how long the batteries will last. I've run this for an hour or so with no great problem on it. If you were driving other stuff, well, perhaps a power bank might be a better choice. But if you need a 5-volt supply, this works very well. And so just switch that off. There it goes. Comes, say, with the little tripod and stuff like that. Anyway, that is how you do simple adjustments for colour. If you've got any questions, let me know. As I said, please do have a look at the written articles. This is something that here in the UK we've run as part of our commercial service. I'm an architectural industrial photographer, but I do training, specialist training for companies as well. And we have done stuff like this for companies of all sizes, right from, just one person working, selling stuff, right up to quite large companies looking at setting up photographic studios and the likes. So if you're interested in that or know anyone who is interested in it, just drop me a line. Anyway, hope that was of interest, and thanks for watching, and bye.